Good morning, friends. It is time to start reading Amos. We did an introduction last night. Let me jump into the text this morning. Please do take a moment to post a greeting, share a comment to let us know that you're here with us. And thank you, friends, for being with us. And I encourage you to hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel if you've not done so yet, and feel free to share this and any content here on this channel as you so wish. Let's take a look at the big board to start off with. And I'm going to come back here in a moment. So here we are. We're starting, and Amos the prophet is introduced as one who came from Tekoa, from the region of Jerusalem, in the southern kingdom, the kingdom of Judah, and went north to Bethel, to the northern kingdom, to be a prophetic figure in the northern kingdom. In the time of King Jeroboam II. Interesting thing here, I pulled the reading windows open. Alas, the context is interesting here. This is in the days of King Uzziah of Judah and King Jeroboam, son of Joash, King Jeroboam II of Israel. King Uzziah. So we're talking about in Amos a contemporary to the first prophet Isaiah. Remember Isaiah chapter 6, call of Isaiah in the days of King Uzziah. Isaiah was in the temple. I love that chapter. It's pretty incredible. But yeah, so Amos, Isaiah, contemporaries. Isaiah in Judah, Amos in Israel. It was an interesting little thing that jumped out at me that I thought I would share. So, first two chapters, this is the first section of Amos. Message to the nations and to Israel. Accusations against the nations, accusations against Israel. Amos is speaking in a time of prosperity, in a time of injustice, a time when the wealthy get wealthier and the poor get poorer, where there's a disconnect. Maybe we should pay attention to Amos? I'll be reading from the left-hand column, which is a Jewish Bible, the complete Jewish Bible. The right-hand column has the text is found in the NRSV updated edition, a Christian Bible. And you can see already Yeah, there's a fair amount of moments already where Jewish biblical language and Christian biblical language don't always sound familiar one to another, and in which we need to just pause a little bit and know exactly what is it we're talking about here. Some of it's kind of obvious, like Tekoa is spelled a little off, but it still sounds the same. Yesiah. But Yehuda, yeah, that's Judah. Yaravam is Jeroboam. Joash, Joash. Yerushalayim. Ah, there's that. Yerushalayim. That's Jerusalem. And right above it, Zion is Zion. Damask. There. Oh, that's an interesting one. Damask. Verse 3 is not lined up yet, but I can tell you Damask is Damascus. Good morning, Mom. Good morning, Linda. Let's read, friends. The words of Amos, one of the sheep owners in Tekoa, which he saw concerning Israel in the days of Uzziah, king of Yehuda, and Yaravam, the son of Joash, king of Israel, 2 years before the earthquake. He said, Adonai is roaring from Zion, thundering from Jerusalem. The shepherds' pastures will mourn, and Mount Carmel's summits will wither. Here is what Adonai says. For Damascus 3 crimes, no 4. I will not revise it. Because they threshed Gilead, with an iron-spiked threshing sledge. I will send fire to the house of Hazael, and it will consume the palaces of Ben-Hadad. I will break the bars of Damascus gates. I will cut off the inhabitants from Bikat Aven. The valley of Avon, and him who holds the scepter from Beth Eden. Then the people of Aram will go into exile in Kir, says Adonai. Here is what Adonai says for Asa's 3 crimes. Gaza. For Asa's 3 crimes, no 4, I will not revise it. Because they exiled a whole population and handed them over to Edom. I will send fire to the wall of Asa, and it will consume its palaces. I will cut off the inhabitant from Ashdod, and him who holds the scepter from Ashkelon. I will turn my hand against Ekron, and the rest of the Plishtim Philistines will perish, says Adonai, God. It's interesting to see names here and realize contemporary things aren't always so contemporary, right? Oh, good morning, Cheryl. Here is what Adonai says. For Zor's three crimes, Zor is Tyre. No, four. I will not reverse it, because they exiled a whole population to Edom and did not remember the covenant with kinsmen. I will send fire to the wall of Zor, and it will consume its palaces. Here is what Adonai says. For Edom's three crimes, no, four, I will not revise it. Because with sword he pursued his kinsmen and threw aside all pity, constantly nursing his anger, forever fomenting his fury. I will send fire on Teman, and it will consume the palaces of Bozrah. Here is what Adonai says. For the people of Ammon's three crimes, the Ammonites, no, four, I will not reverse it, because they ripped apart pregnant women just to expand their territory. I will set fire to the wall of Rabbah, and it will consume its palaces amid shouts on the day of battle, amid a storm on the day of the whirlwind. Their king will go into exile, he and his princes together, says Adonai. Here is what Adonai says for Moab's three crimes. Moab is Moab. No, four. I will not reverse it. Because he burned the bones of the king of Edom, turning them into lime. I will send fire on Moab, and it will consume the palaces of Kirat, of Kiriath. Okay. Moab will die with turmoil and shouting, along with the sound of the shofar. Remember, the shofar is a specific kind of trumpet, a ram's horn. I will cut off the judge from among them and kill all his princes with him, says Adonai. Note the shift all of a sudden here. Here is what Adonai says. For Yehuda's three crimes, no, four, I will not revise it, because they rejected Adonai's Torah. The instruction of the Lord is how it's put in the right-hand column there. God's law, God's instruction, because they rejected Adonai's Torah and have not observed his laws, and their lies caused them to fall into error and live the way their ancestors did. I will send fire on Yehuda, and it will consume the palaces of Jerusalem. Here, how long has that timer not been running? I don't know. Hmm. Okay. Here is what Adonai says. For Israel's three crimes, no, four, I will not revise it. Because they sell the upright for silver and the poor for a pair of shoes, grinding the heads of the poor in the dust and pushing the lowly out of the way. Father and son sleep with the same girl, profaning my holy name. Lying down beside any altar, on clothes taken in pledge, drinking wine in the house of their God, bought with fines they imposed. I destroyed the Amorite, before them. Though tall as cedars and strong as oaks, I destroyed their fruit above and their fruit below. More than that, I brought you up from Egypt, led you 40 years in the desert, so that you could have the Amorites' land. I raised up some of your sons to be prophets, other young men of yours to be Nazarites. People of Israel, isn't that true? Asks Adonai. But you gave the Nazirim wine to drink and ordered the prophets, don't prophesy. Enough. I will make all this crush you, just as a cart overloaded with grain crushes what's under it. Even the swift won't be able to flee. The strong won't be able to use their strength. The warriors won't save themselves. Archers won't be able to stand. The fastest runners won't save themselves. Those on horses won't save themselves. On that day, even the bravest warriors will throw off their weapons and flee, says Adonai. I'm not sure how reliable my timer is because I paused it at some point and I think I might have kept going with it paused for some moment. Also realizing that gets us through the first part and gets us to a point where we're about ready to enter into the second section of Amos. And maybe that's just a good spot to stop for now. Pause. Those first two chapters begin with the nations and hone in on Judah and then Israel. And in these next chapters, 3 through 6, definitely honing in on the northern kingdom, on Israel. So next time that we pick up the prophet Amos, we will start chapter 3 and start this middle section. Blessings on your day, dear friends.